Bonjour, 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 and welcome or welcome back to the Waves of Your Soul. I am your humble French tarot reader Marine, and today I'm super excited to be doing a current favorites video. I've not done one in over a month, and I definitely have plenty of fun stuff to discuss with you guys. Of course, about tarot and oracle decks, as this is what I mostly talk about on my channel. Either I talk about tarot and oracle decks, or I read the cards for you, so you know there's gonna be a lot of decks in this video, but we're also gonna be talking about books. I've read a lot of books in the last month and a half, so I wanted to share them with you guys, share my thoughts for all of my fellow bookworms. These are just fun videos I like to make every month or so about current favorites, things that have brought me joy, things that have put a smile on my face. You get to share in the comments what has brought you a smile on your face, your favorite tarot and oracle decks, books, video games. We talk about all of that. It's a lot of fun, and if you haven't watched any of my previous ones, I have a whole playlist. I've done them for at least 2 years now, so I'll make sure to leave the playlist in the cards so you can check out my previous one. You will also find in the description box chapters if you want to navigate between categories. You'll find all the names of the decks I'm mentioning in today's videos and books. I will list everything because I know my froggy French accent can get in the way. And finally, in the description box you will find my other social media links. Right now I am mostly hanging out on YouTube and on Instagram. This is where I'm pouring most of my energy, where I'm sharing what I'm doing. Without further ado, October favorites, November favorites, let's get into it. First of all, if you can hear the fan in the background, I'm really sorry, but it's so hot today. It's like 42 degrees outside and I'm boiling, so I needed to stay alive and put the fan on, but hopefully it won't be too distracting as background noise. Let's start with life joys, because I've got a couple of things I want to talk about. The first one is actually that I wanted to thank you, because after literally years of me doing my channel and years of me getting messages from people asking if I was doing personal paid reading and me not being able to offer them because my health was so up and down and because I was really struggling with chronic illness and chronic pain. This year I really felt called to launch an offer for year ahead readings, for 2025 year ahead readings, that would both be hopefully guidance for you guys, that would be something that you can revisit throughout the year, a very like encouraging and guiding offering, but that would also work with still my struggles of chronic pain and chronic illness, which very much to this day still define what I'm able to do or not. And I was really blown away because literally the day I launched the offerings, I was sold out in like 3 hours. So I just wanted to say a huge thank you, first of all, for everyone who booked a reading with me. At the moment of me filming this, I've only got a couple more to do from my first launch, and so I wanted to say thank you for the first people who decided to book a reading with me. Thank you so much. And I wanted to say that for all of those of you who are interested, who've sent me messages, that I will definitely be offering these in small batches up until the end of January. So you can find all the information in my Ko-fi website. I will make sure to leave the link in the description box. I have one offering. I've listed it at 45 euros because I wanted this to feel still like a gift you could give yourself. The videos are, I've said between 30 to 45 minutes. I'm realizing it's definitely more on the 45 minutes to an hour kind of timeline, but I don't mind. Obviously, I enjoy when the cards have lots to say. I use tarot, I use oracle. It's honestly a really beautiful offering. I'm really happy and grateful that I'm able to show up for you guys in this way. I am, like I said, offering very limited numbers at a time because it's a struggle for me still to navigate with chronic pain. My health is so up and down, so I'm not able physically to do a lot of them at once. However, up until the end of January at least, I will be offering new slots every few weeks. I will be announcing on my Instagram stories and on my YouTube community page whenever I'm putting new slots up. Every time, a few numbers, slow and steady, trying to find a pace that is nourishing for both you and me. If you are interested in booking one of these year head readings, you can follow me on Instagram. Like I said, I'll share on my story, or you can make sure you're subscribed to my channel and hit the bell so that every time I post on my community page you will be alerted. And I really wanted to thank you for the welcome you've done to this, and also reassure you that there will be new slots coming until like end of January at least. So if you couldn't get your hands on the first batch, don't worry, I will add more slowly but steady. I am embodying the turtle. I'm not the fastest one to get to my destination, but at least I'm getting there at my own pace. Depending how things go, obviously I am considering opening more offerings next year, more different kinds of readings. Again, I'm trying to find a good rhythm so that I can both continue posting on my channel whilst also showing up in terms of personal readings and navigating my chronic health and chronic pain journey. So everything is very flexible, but grateful for the way things are turning out. Other life joy I wanted to mention is an app actually. It's an app that my friend recommended to me, which is called Fantasy Hike. It is a tracking app for walks, for paths, for steps in your day, for how much kilometers you walked every day or every week or whatever, where you are embodying Frodo in The Lord of the Rings, and you are doing the walk as Frodo would do from the Shire to Mordor. And so in this app, it tracks your daily steps, and it will tell you, following Tolkien's world, following Tolkien's lore. It will tell you where you are along the path, sharing like how far you walked, and really showing you every day with the kilometers passing by how close you are or not. In my case, I'm so far to Mordor. It took me 3 months to leave the Shire, but I'm finally out of the Shire. And that is partly due to the fact, again, like I was saying, chronic pain, chronic illness. There's some days I can walk, there's some days I'm bedbound. So my little Frodo is so slow. I'm making so slow progress, and yet this app has been so much fun. It has been a really good motivation for me to go on walks even on the days where I'm in pain, I'm flared up, I'm struggling. I love seeing my little Frodo move along the path, and I wanted to share it with you guys because it's been really fun. It's been a good motivation. My friend and I are sending each other screenshots of where we are on the map, and it's fun. For my fellow Lord of the Rings lovers and my fellow walking lovers, people who like me, enjoy walking, enjoy hiking, this is so much fun. So normally in these videos I also talk about video games and I talk about TV shows, but honestly, apart from me doing a bit of a Buffy rewatch in October, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I'm still not finished, I'm on like season 4, I have not really watched any TV or any movies. I've not played any video games. All I've been doing recently is reading. So let's talk about books. I have been an avid bookworm in the last month and a half, and I have plenty of books to talk about. Some I loved, some I didn't enjoy so much. Let's talk about them. So I will mention them in the chronological order of me reading them, and I will make sure that these mini reviews or mini thoughts, if I can say that, are spoiler free. So in case you're interested about the book, you won't have to worry, I will not spoil you. Before I get into it, you should know that my preferred themes and genres are fantasy. So most of what I'm going to talk about is fantasy books, fantasy, romantasy, a little bit of sci-fi sometimes. This is usually my vibe. So I'll make sure to leave images of the books I mentioned on the screen, as I don't have physical copies to share them with you. But the first one I wanted to mention is actually the second book of a trilogy, of the Lens of the Firstborn trilogy. This is by Gareth Hanrahan. I'm not sure how you say that, probably butchered that. I've read the first book a while ago and I got into the second one. So in the Lens of the Firstborn trilogy, premise of the story is, in a very Tolkien-esque way, a group of adventurers had to band together to defeat the big bad in the world. So 20 years ago, a group of elf, dwarves, humans, some rogues, some barbarians, some wizards got together and managed to defeat the evil in the world, the big threat to world peace. The story is set 20 years later and asks the question, what do heroes do after they've saved the world? How do they recover? How do they go back to their own lives? Do they even have a life after they've gone through trauma and violence and war? After, even though they've defeated a big powerful evil, how do you go on in this? How do you make a new life for yourself? This is really the premise of this story, and the story follows the main character Alf, who was part of the Nine, this group of adventurers who defeated the evil 20 years ago, and Alf was the warrior. He's a bit of a very rugged warrior and type person. He is definitely older than stereotypical characters of stories. He's in his 50s, I believe, and the story follows both him and how he's trying to move on in a world where he, for himself, doesn't quite manage really to believe that the evil is gone, and is always kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop. And it also follows his sister who's also an older character compared to what we're used to seeing in fantasy. She is in her 40s, she's a mom, and she ends up having to go in an adventure, to go on a journey, to go on a quest despite herself, as she's trying to catch up to her son who has decided to escape their farmer life and wanting to go on an adventure just like his uncle. So the story follows both the warrior brother who was part of the hero group and his sister. And I won't say too much as this is a trilogy, and like I said, I want to keep this spoiler free, but I will say if you enjoy epic trilogies, if you enjoy the idea of wondering what happens to heroes after they've defeated the evil, and how do you make a life for yourself? Are heroes really still heroes after 20 years? Because you will see that some of them might be, some of them might not be. If you enjoy the idea of evil weapons, evil swords, of a world where we have dwarves and elves and you know, a cast of adventuring that's a little bit D&D-esque with the idea of rangers and warriors and all of those, wizards, then I think you would really enjoy this. The writing from Gareth Hanrahan is really great. I loved the first book. The second book was not as good in my opinion as the first one, but it was still really, really good, and I still really want to read the third one, which is not out yet, and I'm definitely gonna enjoy finishing the story and finding out what happens to all the characters. But I really enjoy, at least for this trilogy, the idea that the heroes were much older than our stereotypical normal protagonist. It gives an interesting twist on the story to find to follow people and protagonists who have lived their life, you know, who've made mistakes, who are not just out in the world fresh and clean, but who actually have experiences, some good, some bad. So I really enjoyed that one. And even though I preferred the first one, the second one was still enjoyable. The second book I want to talk about is called A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, and this is one of the two books I read by T Kingfisher. I had been recommended Kingfisher's books for ages on my channel. I hadn't realized so many people had recommended me this author until I went back in my comments and realized, oh yeah, actually a lot of you told me to read some Kingfisher's books. So I decided to listen to you in the month of October and started with A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking. For me, this definitely falls in the realm of cozy fantasy, as it follows the story of Mona, who is a 14-year-old girl living in a city and where magic exists. In this world, magic exists. She is a wizard herself, but her magic only relates to baking. So she can only do magic when it relates to bread and to baking things. That's as far as her abilities go. So she is actually a baker. She works at her aunt's bakery. She uses her magic in her day-to-day job, obviously working in a bakery, up until the day where morning goes in to open the bakery and discover a young girl has been murdered there. And so from then on, investigations start, and she's initially accused of the murder, accused of using her magic, and from then this takes huge proportions probably bigger than any of us could imagine when we start the book. And so this is a story of magic, of solving a crime. This is a story of fitting in, finding where you belong. It's definitely cozy and charming and funny, but it does have some edge with talking about some darker themes such as death and war. So I found this book absolutely charming. Mona, the girl wizard, is so funny and interesting. I mean, as a witch, her familiars are both a gingerbread man and a sourdough starter. If that doesn't make you want to read the book, I don't know what will. The characters are wonderful, the setting is really interesting, the way the magic world I found was delightful, and this is one you can read in one sitting. You can perfect for like when you want to cozy up with a nice book. I would absolutely recommend it. If you're looking for like a cozy fantasy, it's adorable. The second book I read from T Kingfisher in the month of October was Nettles and Bones. Oh my god, you guys, this is actually a 5 out of 5 stars. This is probably one of my favorite reads of the year, so thank you so much to those of you who recommended this to me, because I enjoyed A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, but I loved Nettle and Bones by the same author. Nettle and Bones definitely me is darker. A Wizard Guide to Defensive Baking I think is more, you know, young adult. I would say Nettle and Bones is definitely more gothic and darker and a little spooky, which was perfect for cozy season. And this is definitely a fairy tale retelling. I would say I would put this in the category of dark fairy tale, as it follows Mara, who is a princess, but she's the third princess. She has two elder sisters, and as the third princess, she's never really had to be as involved in court as her other two. And so whilst her first two sisters have to go into marriage, she gets to start her life by going into a convent and living her life in a more recluse, secluded way, which suits her very well. She enjoys this kind of more quiet life, and she's not really cut out to be a princess. And so, as I said, Mara has two sisters. Her first sister gets married to a prince and dies not long after. So the second sister then has to marry the same prince. And as the family has agreed that, you know, she would provide heirs and everything, and all whilst this happened, Mara gets to live her life in the convent. However, along the years, she starts to realize that the prince marrying her sister is not so kind and actually is very abusive. And she realizes that in this dark fairy tale retelling, whilst normally we expect the prince to save the princess, she, as the third-born princess, is the only person really who can save her sister from her abusive husband. So this is definitely a powerful retelling of a fairy tale in a way that's quite dark, but that's also fascinating and so interesting, as Mara tries to figure out a way to save her sister from this horrible abusive marriage. She is tasked with finding a grave witch. She takes a walk into fairyland. She's been given impossible tasks. She ends up meeting her godmother. There are many different points that refer us back to those stories that we're very, very familiar with from fairy tales, such as godmothers and prince and princesses and fairies. But in this spookier world, this more horror-based world, it's the princes are evil and the princesses have to save themselves. This is a book about witches and magic and fairy tales. It's a little bit horror and spooky. It's also funny. The protagonists are so enchanting. Mara ends up gathering along her allies. Again, I won't spoil you, who are so, again, enchanting, funny, interesting. And this is just an amazing, amazing book. If you're into the idea of a fairy tale being rewritten in a little bit of a darker way, but you still want themes of friendships and family and familial love, if you want a story that is based on a main character who originally doesn't believe she can do what she needs to be done, and yet quickly realize she's the only one who can help. So if you want a heroine who is flawed and yet who's so relatable and who you really want to root for, I cannot recommend this book enough. I loved it. It was humorous, it was enchanting, it was truly a beautiful fantasy quest. I loved it so much. It's one of my favorite reads of the year. Let's move on. In October, I also read Beast Be Gone by A Billington. This is a fantasy book that takes the piss a little bit at the stereotype around, specifically tabletop playing games such as Dungeons and Dragons and the such, as it follows as a protagonist what I would call an NPC character. So here, instead of having your stereotypical hero or heroine who is special and chosen and has magical powers, who's gonna save the world, this follows a very normal, simple man who is in a world where people go adventuring and go on quests and clear dungeons. His job is pest control, except his pest control is around clearing out monsters and the mess that adventurers leave behind when they are going adventuring. So this takes all the tropes of adventuring, of D&D, of people going dungeon clearing and people taking potions, and all the tropes that we're used to from those, you know, tabletop role-playing games or even RPG games that are fantasy-based, video games, stuff like that. It takes all those tropes and turns them and makes a joke about them. So it's a very like funny and quite cynical point of view, and I really enjoyed it as a breath of fresh air. It wasn't my favorite read of the year, you know, it's not 5 out of 5, but I would give it a good 4 out of 5. It's a fun take on fantasy, if you're looking for something with a little bit of a twisted sense of humor. And it's another one that is not a trilogy or anything, it's a standalone, so we love that. Easy to read, one sitting, again, easy, great. Moving on, the next one I want to talk about is actually one I didn't love so much. It was Anathema by Keri. This is a romantasy, so romance fantasy, a very dark romantasy, and whilst the setting had me hooked from the beginning, the world building, which is very gothic, very dark, perfect for spooky season, as this is set in a very dark world where humans live on the border of a forest that you are forbidden to visit. As this is a very oppressive world, as soon as someone is a little bit different or show signs of magic or whatever, they get fed to the forest that everyone believes is where monsters live. So it's very dark and quite threatening kind of world. It's a very oppressive world, and it follows the main heroine who is living in this world and keeps wondering what is on the other side of that forest, what lies right on the other side of this unknown place where people seem to disappear to. I love the gothic vibe, but the main romance was really cringy. And that really put me off. There was a lot of smut, like a lot, and a lot of it was without real interest, I will say, in the sense of like no real story sense. The dialogues were really cringy to me. Again, obviously this is all personal vibes. If you love these books, I'm not saying you are wrong or anything, I'm just saying that for me, I had high hopes. I thought the atmosphere was great, but the dialogues between the main main romantic people were really cringe. The smut was a lot, and overall I didn't really enjoy it. Still read the second one when it comes out? I don't know. I mean, part of me wants to know what's going on with the world, but in terms of shipping the romance, I really did not. I did not get behind the couple. I didn't feel any kind of like, you know, it didn't pull on my heartstring. It was just meh. However, straight after, I read another 5 out of 5, I will say another favorite book of the year, because I finally read The Goblin Emperor by Katherine Addison, and oh my god, you guys, this, again, 5 out of 5, epic. It's a standalone fantasy. It is based on court intrigues, and it follows the story of Maya, who is half goblin, so half his mother was goblin, his father was elf. Whilst he is of royal lineage, he is way far in the line of royal descent that he never expects to be put on the throne. His father is emperor, but he has a lot of brothers who are in the line to be emperor before him. However, the story starts when all of his family, all of his brothers and father are killed in a skyship incident, and suddenly he's put on the throne, whilst he never thought that this duty would come to him, considering he was so far behind in the line that he never thought he would have to succeed. So he's suddenly thrown into the court intrigues, he's thrown into this role of being emperor, really not prepared. The fact that he's of mixed lineage in this world where elves and goblins cohabit makes him a target for criticism, for discrimination. And so this book talks about themes such as power structure, social tension, racial tension, discrimination, but you follow Maya, who is both the, like I said, youngest and least favorite son of the emperor, who gets thrown into this court intrigue, thrown into the emperor's throne without being at all prepared for all the responsibilities that come to him. And you follow him as he's trying to like come into himself, trying to make wise decisions. And this is truly a story about survival, about kindness, about belonging, about finding your place, about following your gut, and friendship. It is such a feel-good story. It is powerful and kind, and it really talks about, whilst it's set in a fantasy world, really talks about important, I would say, human feelings, such as, like I was saying, friendships and kindness and respect. And I really enjoyed this book so much. The one thing that I struggle with is that the world is quite rich, especially with the names. There's a lot of family names, there's a lot of court names, you know, it's set in court, so there's a lot of different families and heritage and, you know, descendants and all of that. And for a lot of it, whilst I was reading, I was like, okay, so this is Lady Blue de Blue de Blue from the family Blue 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 who is related to cousin blah blah blah. And I just had to do it this way, which I know I'm not the only one. I know a lot of you guys do that. But all the quite complicated names did not get in the way of me getting into the story and really shaping Maya as a character who is, again, so charming and just relatable, and you just want the best for him. I think that by the end of the book, again, this is a standalone. I absolutely loved it. I can't recommend this enough. If you're looking for a feel-good fantasy, some court intrigues, you like the idea of a book that still touches on important subjects like social and racial tension, things like that, while set in a fantasy world, you will not be disappointed. And finally, I'll wrap up with a last trilogy I'm reading. And of course, I should have said at the beginning, but if you guys have read any of these books, or if you have any recommendations of books you think I would like based on the ones I'm mentioning today, please share in the comments. I love to read you guys. I love to know what you thought about these books. I'd love to know if you have recommendations. Definitely leave a comment. I love to hear from you. The last trilogy I want to mention, it's one I'm on literally 97% of book 2. So I want to talk about Spark of the Everflame and Glow of the Everflame, both by Penn Cole. This is set in a world where the gods descended upon the world and had children with mortals. Those children are called the Descended. They have magic, and the Descended are coexisting with regular mortals. They kind of took over, being considering that they not only have magic but also live for a very long time. And so you follow the story of DM who grows up in the mortal world, very secluded from the Descended, looking at how the mortals are struggling with poverty and illness, whilst the Descendants seem to be enjoying a life of privilege, of endless youth, of beauty, of magic, of power. And so it's a very interesting, like, again, power dynamics. It talks about social tension, it talks about discrimination. It obviously has an interesting magic system, as a lot of fantasy books I enjoy, and it has romance. And honestly, this is a very slow burn, so if you don't like smut or anything like that, I think with this one is pretty safe. I mean, it's very slow burn, so I enjoy the story. This one is definitely one I've been really enjoying. I'm already on book 2. I can see myself finishing book 3 in just a few days. If you liked Akotar or any of those books, I think you'd really like this one. For me, it's a very enjoyable romantasy. I really don't have anything bad to say. Whilst there are some predictive tropes that were used in romantasy, this is still a book that I find super thrilling. I'm enjoying it. I mean, I've read the 2 books. I've read both first book in like 3 days, so that tells you how good it is. I've not been able to put it down. So while some aspects are definitely predictable from reading a lot of this kind of book, this is definitely one I'm really enjoying. I think it's a good trilogy. I'm excited to see where it goes. And yeah, let me know again if you've read Spark of the Everflame or Glow of the Everflame. Let me know in the comments. And if you have any recommendation of fantasy, romantasy, or sci-fi books you think I would enjoy, I would love to hear them. And now, without further ado, let's talk about Tarot and Oracle decks, because if you thought I had a lot of books to talk about, girl, you ain't ready for decks. I have so many decks to talk about, so let's do it. Okay, so to try and not make this 5 hour long, I will focus on tarot, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a separate video with oracles I've been loving, because I like to do those kinds of videos anyway, where I give a little bit of a highlight on the oracle decks that I've been enjoying in the last 2-3 months, and I've not done one of those kinds of videos in a while, so I thought it would be a good time to do that. So I'm gonna prioritize tarot today. If I have time, I'll include a couple of oracle decks. If not, don't worry, I'll make a separate video just for them. Let's start with the decks that I've enjoyed using the most in October. October was spooky season, so I brought out a lot of my spooky decks. I even did a spooky decks video on where I shared with you all of my spooky tarot and oracle decks, my favorite decks for Halloween, for Samhain. If you've not seen it, I'll make sure to leave it in the cards. It's a lot of fun, and so I enjoyed bringing all of these decks out, which I won't share again, otherwise we'll be there for hours. But I will say the standout for me for October for 2024 truly has been the Halloween Wait, which is actually the newest Halloween theme in my collection. I got this right at the start of October, I think, or right at the end of September, regardless, just on time for October, for spooky season. And it's been like my most used deck of October for myself, so I wanted to mention it again here, as it's definitely been a favorite. This is a deck from Tarot Collectible. They are a UK based company, indie deck company. I really love their stuff. You will see another deck of theirs in a bit. I am currently having a love affair with Tarot Collectibles decks. I want them all, and all their decks are usually RWS renditions, but with themes, with fun themes on top. And as the name suggests, this is a Rider-Waite Smith, but on the theme of Halloween. So if you've watched any of my recent videos, you will have seen seen this, I've shown this in a haul, which if you've not checked it out, I'll make sure to leave it in the cards. I've shared it on Instagram. I even used it in my November monthly readings as one of the options for you guys to see how it read. Amazing, I'm obsessed. It's a fun take on the RWS. It's got werewolves and vampires and zombies and witches and pirates. It's got everything I love. So this has truly been a go-to for the whole month of October for me. I didn't want to use anything else, and it's put to bed a lot of my previously loved Halloween decks. But this is everything. I freaking love the colors, I love the fun rendition, I love the fact that it's still an RWS, so for me it's my go-to system. It's a place I feel super comfortable, and it's just a lot of fun. Really nothing too scary or spooky, so I think this is very family friendly if you were reading at an event or reading for people who aren't necessarily into tarot but who want to get into the Halloween spirit with it. This is perfect, I think. So definitely a huge favorite. It's absolutely a good mood deck as well. It makes me so happy. I didn't want Halloween to end because I didn't want to put this down, which is why I even included it as an option for my November monthly reading for you guys, because I was like, I don't want to stop using this. This is so fun. So absolutely a favorite. I think they're doing a new campaign on Indiegogo right now, or maybe it's finished by the time I'm filming this, for a new Halloween themed deck. I don't think I'll get their new one because I don't need two, but check out their stuff because it's great. Like I said, I love our collectibles decks. I'm really tempted to pick up their spring weight, which I don't have, but it looks so cute. I kind of want it now, so I might treat myself for Christmas to the spring weight. We shall see. The other deck I absolutely loved using in the month of October for my own personal use, I was really using either the Halloween one or the Slavic Legends Tarot, and oof, this, you guys, this is amazing. And it took me a long time to get this. I'm probably one of the last people to get this on TarotTube, but you know what, better late than never. This is another indie deck. It's by Taroteka Studios, and I think they're based in Eastern Europe. I believe they are the same people who did the Dark Mansion Tarot, and this is by the same artist. You can recognize the art style from this very well. So here is the box. It looks like a book. It's absolutely beautiful. Honestly, production quality 10 out of 10. I love the cardstock. I love the detailing. Just everything is really beautiful with Taroteka Studios. Here are the backs, and as the name suggests, the Slavic Legends, this is a deck inspired by Slavic folklore. I think it came out last year, because I remember last year everyone got this and was raving about it, and whilst I always thought it was beautiful at the time, from seeing it in a lot of places, I was like feeling a little bit overwhelmed with it. Some of you may know it's something I struggle with sometimes. The idea is that when a deck is overhyped and everyone talks about it, sometimes it makes me want to run in the opposite direction because I get a little bit overwhelmed, right? By seeing it everywhere, kind of, yeah, puts me off. Which is, you know, my own weird quirks and traits, and every time I've shared that with you guys, you've told me I'm definitely not the only one, and some of you guys are the same. When you see something very hyped, sometimes it makes you want to run in the opposite direction. The funny thing is that usually I will come back to those decks a year later, 2 years later, once the hype has died, and that's when I'm able to truly make my own opinion of them. This is a perfect case of that. Perfect case of my weirdness, where a year ago or whenever this came out and everyone was talking about it, I was like, yeah, it's nice, but it's not for me. And literally this year I was like, hold on a minute, this is actually really nice. Maybe I should get this. And guess what? It is really nice and I really like it. So yeah, I'm a dum-dum, but at least I'm self-aware. I mean, can we talk about how gorgeous this is? Yeah, this is absolutely stunning. One of the most beautiful decks, I think, that I own now in my collection. This is definitely one of the most beautiful. There's something about the artwork that I already love this artist from the Dark Mansion, but here with the Slavic folklore, the very like forest vibe, the fairy tale vibe, oof, it's beautiful. I'm very not familiar with a lot of the stories here, although I did enjoy reading the PDF that some of you, and thank you so much for those of you who told me about that there was a PDF on the website that you can get for the majors, so I really enjoyed reading that. I couldn't find anything about the minors, but I enjoyed reading about the majors, and even as an intuitive deck, without being super familiar with the story there, it really didn't stop me from enjoying the deck. This has been a deck I've really enjoyed using for myself mostly. I've not read bonded with this for anyone else, I don't think, but I definitely could. I could see myself picking this up. I mean, look at this Hermit. This is probably my favorite card of the deck. It's stunning. Something about this druid, kind of dryad, I freaking love. This is the kind of Hermit I want to go to ask for advice. Absolutely. Again, the Wheel of Fortune, another huge favorite. Probably the card that made me buy the deck, actually, when I rewatched walkthroughs and this year and decided, hold on a minute, I need to give this a real chance. I'm changing my mind. This could be for me. This is the card that made me get it, and I have zero regrets. I'm glad I waited, because if I had gotten it a year ago, I probably wouldn't have bonded with it, and I'm glad I gave it a second chance now, because I'm really enjoying it, and I can see why so many people enjoy it. Definitely a favorite, one I can see myself continue to use for the rest of the year. This is definitely also giving December vibes, like fairy tales, all of that. I like it. Let's continue. Let's talk about the Tarot de Marseille Revisité et Illustré by Émilie Dedieu. This is a French indie deck. I have and love most of her decks. Like, I own quite a lot of decks from hers and I love them all, and mostly I just love the watercolor with the added of the ink. You're gonna see her artwork is very recognizable, and it's also very soft and gentle, and in the month of October it was perfect for me when I wanted to do like self-care kind of readings, so I would use the Halloween and the Slavic Legends for, I would say, every day. The Tarot de Marseille Revisité et Illustré is one I've been using since at least the beginning of September, maybe even August, I can't even remember. But when I want to do readings that are very like self-care based, or when I need something of a hug deck, I guess you could say, because this is very gentle, it's very soft, it's very kind in energy. The energy of this deck feels very kind, very soft, very gentle. So this is perfect when I'm flared up, or when I'm a little bit agitated and I need to ground and calm myself and come back to center. This is really sweet, gentle deck, and one I've enjoyed a lot this year. So this is a deck I've shared on my channel. Oh, here are the backs if I hadn't shared them with you, and I know I've shared this deck before on my channel because I know a lot of you guys loved it and left comments saying that either you gotten it after you watched my videos, or you were waiting for her to do a restock, because this deck, it comes in and out of prints, because I think Emily only prints small numbers, but I don't think it's like, if you go on the website and it says out of print, it's usually only for like a month maximum, because she does reprint very regularly. And I know a lot of you guys, either you got the deck after seeing it on my channel, or you are waiting to get it if it's not currently in print, because I've gotten so many messages about this deck when I shared it on Instagram, and the last time I shared it in a video. And I think it's because it's such a charming, very kind deck. I think it's a deck that a lot of people can enjoy, because it feels just very beautiful and very soothing. And whilst it's a French deck by a French creator, and if you don't speak French you would have no problem reading with it, because as you can see, the images are very intuitive. Here we have the Six of Swords, here we have the Ten of Wands, we have the Three of Swords, the Four of Swords with acupuncture, which I think is so clever. I love this idea of the Four of Swords, speaking about taking time for yourself, healing, Chinese medicine. It's so cool. And we have Death, here we have the Hanged One, and as the name suggests, Le Tarot de Marseille Revisité et Illustré, this literally means a Tarot de Marseille revisited and illustrated. So it's not a pip deck, every card is illustrated, but you can see the Lovers is very Marseille-like. Instead of the stereotypical RWS with two people and the flaming tree, the angel and stuff, here we have the idea of the Tarot de Marseille Lovers with choice, two different options, and the person in the middle having to make a choice. So the inspiration, I would say it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid between the RWS and the Marseille. Instead of the Magician we have the Battler. There's definitely minors that speak of Marseille meanings, but they are all illustrated, meaning that I think this would be super easy to use whether you are familiar with Marseille or not, because this is, for me, it's more of a hybrid really than a true Marseille. I mean, just the fact that it's not pips or anything like that, and it reads like a dream. I think it's really, really beautiful. This one loves to read for others. It's a very sweet guiding light, and it's one I really enjoyed using in the last few months, and one I still enjoy using now. Moving on, I wanted to mention a deck that I feel like I don't speak about enough on my channel, and yet that is probably in my top 10 favorite decks ever. So I wanted to take the time to speak about it in this video, because I was like, hold on a minute, I've been reading with this behind the scenes for years and I don't speak about it enough. So there we go, I'm fixing my mistake, and I am talking about today the Shuffle Tarot. This is another indie deck. God, I have a lot of indie decks today, but there's a couple of mass market coming, and I should have said that whilst this is an indie deck, the price is super reasonable, probably 30 euros or something the last time I checked. Prices are really fair and reasonable. Sometimes they're even the same price as some other mass market decks. Let's talk about the Shuffle Tarot. This is a deck by Destiny. I don't know if you can still get the Shuffle Tarot in this version, but I know the most recent one they had was a mix of collection A and collection B as a huge deck. So they used to sell A and then B separately, and now they're doing like collection C, which is A and B together. I don't really know, but I know there's still a version of the Shuffle Tarot out there. I freaking love this so much. Like I said, it's one of my favorite decks ever, and I wanted to mention it again because I don't speak about it enough. So if you're not familiar with the Shuffle Tarot, the idea is that all the cards, all the characters in the cards have literally been shuffled and mixed in, and the characters have decided to take walk and visit other cards. And so you will see the Strength hanging out with the Hermit, you'll see the Emperor sitting with Death, or whatever it may be. Everything is shuffled, everything is mixed. What you think you know about tarot, you don't anymore. And I love that. So here are the back. This is a brain fuck. This is a brain fuck if you like traditional tarot to be as it is and you don't like things to be different. Don't even skip ahead to the next one I'm gonna talk about. This is not for you. But if you like your decks to be unique, to push you outside your comfort zone as a reader, to really challenge you and expand your readings in new way, this is like no others. The suits here have been all mixed in. So here we have the imagery of the Four of Cups, right, with the person looking, and normally we have the 3 cups here and we have a cups being handed here, but in this case it's the 4 of Wands. So when you read this, you could be thinking about, okay, how do these two mix in? How do I mix in this imagery with the wands instead of the cups? How does this apathy relate to when, instead of connecting it to emotional needs and emotions and feelings, I connect it with passion, sensuality, and this fire side, right? So this will really make you change the way you read tarot, because you can no longer rely on what you are used to get the normal meanings. The star may look similar, but if you look closely, you will realize that this is the world person hanging out with the star. So how do you relate? How do you combine the meaning of the star with the meaning of the world? And you can do that for everything. Here we have the 2 characters from the 5 of Pentacles hanging out in the 5 of Cups. How do you relate that? This idea of feeling left out, of struggle, with the idea of loss. 6 of Wands mixed with the 6 of Swords. It is so interesting. For the Knight of Cups, we have the Hermit. I mean, come on, this is so good. So truly, this is one of the best tarot decks that is out there, that has ever been created, I think, because it challenges everything we know about tarot. And my Aquarius Venus and Aquarius Mars freaking love that. I love the idea of busting through tradition and exploring tarot in a new way. Like, you thought you knew tarot? No, you don't. Here's a new version, and how do you read that? It is challenging, and it will push you outside your comfort zone, and yet you can still rely on your foundational knowledge, but it means that you won't be able to let yourself boxed in. You're gonna have to think differently. 10 of Coins mixed with the 10 of Swords. Ooh, talk about the pressure of heritage, talk about the pressure of building your legacy and the effect it can have on your mental health. I mean, this is it. This is just so clever. We have the Queen of Pentacles with the High Priestess. How do you bring intuition into your material goals, into your material abundance, into your environment? Again, we have the Hermit with the Sun. Oh, it's so good. I've used this in a reading recently, which was inspired by the Hangman. It was part of #YourFool's Journey, which is a whole series I'm doing on my channel where I'm creating one pick a card reading inspired by each major arcana. Up last, you guys should definitely follow along. If you haven't watched it yet, I encourage it. You will find it in the cards. I'm gonna put a link to the playlist. I'm gonna put it in the description box. Every pick a card is inspired by a different major arcana. I use this deck for my Hangman inspired reading because this deck gives me Hangman energy. It forces you to look at things in a different way, in a different point of view. It will challenge you as a reader, but it will also make you grow as a reader. And oh boy, is this amazing to look at what you're not seeing, to look beyond blockages, to really challenge you to see things differently. I think this is really awesome. So definitely one of my favorite decks ever in my collection. I would cry if this was taken away from me. I would save it in a fire, and if I ever lost it, I would buy it immediately because I would really miss it. I think it's one of the most unique, innovative decks I have when I need to be thinking differently, changing perspective. This is everything, and yeah, it's awesome. So let's talk about the Supernova Tarot by Lo Scarabeo. This is a deck by Federico Salis. It's mass market, it's gorgeous, it's fun, it's campy, it's fashion, it's everything. This is a newer deck in my collection. Here is what the box looks like, by the way. You have the guidebook as per usual with Lo Scarabeo. It's in different languages. The guidebook is great, you guys. I read it. It gives you some symbolism, some choices from the artist about why they depicted things a certain way. If you have the deck, don't sleep on the guidebook. It's really good. Honestly, for me, the star of the show is this gorgeous artwork. I'm freaking obsessed with this art style. I love the colors, I love the outfits from the people, I love the body movement, the general aesthetic. It's just so fun. This is a joyful, fun, campy deck that makes me so happy. This is absolutely a good mood deck for me. It feels a little bit drag, it feels very fashion and colorful and bold and fierce and badass, and I'm here for all of it. Definitely one of the best 2024 mass market releases I've seen. I'm obsessed. Everyone I've read with this is obsessed. There's something about this that feels super modern, but that also feels very classic. I don't know, it's like both timeless and modern, if I can say that. Bringing me so much joy this month. I've read this for friends who have loved it, even though they're not necessarily themselves into tarot. They were obsessed with the artwork. They were like, wow, this looks like old Vogue magazines or like posters they would love to have in their room. You know, there's something really satisfying about the artwork, about the outfits. It's quite bold and it's quite fierce, and yeah, I'm obsessed. I think it's great. One of the best mass market tarot decks I've seen released this year. Unique point of view, I think definitely one we can remember. Unique, not one that will blend. I think you will recognize it straight away. It's not gonna give, oh, here's another RWS clone that looks like every other one we've seen recently. No, this is very unique. I think it stands out, and I love that. Let me know if you guys have this one. When I shared it in a haul, a lot of you said you either had it or you were gonna get it, so I think this one is gonna be a popular one for 2024 for a lot of us. Moving on to another deck that has brought so much joy lately, another for me good mood deck, is the JK Tarot. This is my second deck by Tarot Collectibles I wanted to mention in this video, and I love their stuff. They do a lot of cool RWS renditions of inspired by different themes. This one though is actually a re-edition of the Jupiter King Tarot, which was a deck that was printed in the 70s by a Japanese artist, and this is a re-edition of this. They managed to get the rights to republish this year, and they did an Indiegogo campaign, and you could back the project, which I did. So I've gotten this deck probably 2 months ago now, and it's become my new favorite RWS. I'm obsessed with the colors, I'm obsessed with the feel of it, which is very 70s because originally this was published in the 70s. I freaking love everything about this, and I don't want to put it down. So this is another one I've read for myself, for other people. I've used it on the channel for pick a card readings. I don't want to put it down at the moment. I'm obsessed with this. It's quickly become my favorite RWS. I have and love the Moon Baby, which is another favorite RWS, but this is taking over at the moment. I love all the pinks and purples and blues. This is just, look at this, the Page of Cups with the pink background. I can't. It's so fun, again, so good mood. I'm obsessed with this. I'm so glad they managed to the agreement to re-edit this, as this was a deck that originally was out of print 3 decades, I would say, and that was super hard to get. The copies were so expensive, so I'm really happy that Tarot Collectibles managed to be able to reprint this year, as everyone deserves this in their life. This is a beautiful deck. I know a lot of you are looking at this and be like, yeah, this is an RWS, but I'm like, no, it's not just an RWS. I mean, look at those colors, it's stunning. Not much else to say about it apart from the fact that I'm obsessed, and that I can see this becoming my favorite RWS in my collection. You guys, I still have way too many decks to talk about. Oh my god. This is gonna be a super long video, but I hadn't done a favorites in October, so this is gonna be like a mix of October-November. So when I do those big like cumulative 2 months at once, it's always way too long. But we're in this together. I've committed now, so I will finish. I absolutely have to talk about it. If we're talking about favorites, course, I must talk about the Extraordinary Incantations by Practical Magic. This is by a Filipino creator, Practical Magic. I freaking love this. So whilst this is originally a 78 card tarot deck, I use this as an oracle. I use this as a mantra deck because on each of the cards you have the tarot meaning, but you also have a what they call an incantation, but what I would call an affirmation or a mantra, usually in the first person. So here for the Seven of Pentacles we have I'm in no rush. For the Queen of Pentacles, I rest in power. So every tarot card you have an I statement, and I am obsessed. That's my I statement. This is a small but mighty deck that I've absolutely loved using recently, specifically for wrapping up readings. If you've gotten a reading from me, for a lot of them I've wrapped it up with an affirmation from this deck. In my pick a card reading, I am finishing a lot of my readings with a little mantra for you or an incantation for you to carry on. I have used this for myself as journaling starting prompt, as spread starting prompt. I've pulled cards and sent it to friends for them to have like as little backgrounds on their phone to carry the energy of the mantra they are invited to work with at the moment. This is so versatile. Could feel simple, but it's actually super useful in my collection. I'm reaching out for it constantly. And I have to thank Cassandra from A Riffle in Time for getting me obsessed with it, because I discovered it on her channel and I bought it on her shop. So if you're watching, Cassandra, I'm sending you so much love. Make sure to leave Cassandra's shop, A Riffle in Time, in the description box. She's the one that got me onto this. I'm obsessed. I'm constantly reaching out for this. It's not really ever going back on the shelf. It lives on my desk because I'm constantly reaching out for it. I think it's really useful, and like I said, I mostly use it as an oracle. I don't really use it as a tarot, and I do love the fact that if I want to, I can use this as a tarot as well, which makes this really versatile. So really cool deck, small but mighty, and one that I'm already getting a lot of use, and this is already becoming a workhorse. Already one of the most used decks in my collection this year. I don't see myself stopping, so we love it when we can find a deck that we just don't want to stop using, that we feel is bringing something new to our readings. It's the best feeling. This one definitely does that job. So let's continue with the decks I'm using in November. For myself, like I said, I'm using mostly at the moment the Supernova, although I'm using it for others as well. I'm also really enjoying at the moment getting to know the Botan Tarot, which is a newer deck in my collection. I've talked about it in my most recent haul. When I filmed the haul, I hadn't used deck yet. Now I've been using it for the last couple of weeks because I pre-filmed the hauls, and this is one I'm really enjoying, so I wanted to come back and give you my thoughts. Here is the box. This is the second edition, how the new box looks like, but if you guys have the first edition, I think it looks quite different, and I think there was a couple of different cards as well. I'm just really grateful I could get my hands on this deck finally, because it's one I've been wanting for a really long time. I got my copy from Salon des Arcanes, which is a French-based tarot shop. I'll make sure to leave the link down below, but I think you can get this from the artist directly, and if you can't get this edition anymore, I feel like I've seen on Instagram that the artist said they were looking at doing a 2025 release again, so maybe just follow them on Instagram and see. But I feel like they're releasing the decks often just in small numbers from what I'm understanding. I don't know if this is out or not at the time of me sharing this, but like I said, I've got a feeling that it's gonna come back in some shape or another, and I'm glad, because this is absolutely stunning and a lot of people deserve this in their life. I mean, the artwork is so beautiful. It's this watercolor artwork with beautiful Asian, specifically I think Japanese inspiration. We have a lot of animals, and it's just so beautiful. Like I said, at the time when I had done my haul, I hadn't used the deck yet, but I have been using it for the last 3 weeks and I am obsessed. This is so nice. It's definitely a deck that I go to at nighttime when I need to like regroup, chill, and kind of, yeah, come back to myself. I think the first impression I had when I flipped through the decks is still the impression I have after using it for the last few weeks, which is that this is a very gentle and kind deck, that it very much feels like it whispers, it doesn't shout. And so for me, this is the kind of deck I would want to use at nighttime when I'm journaling or when I'm wrapping up my day and I need to come back and pause and restore, you know, kind of regroup, reground. On the other hand of that spectrum, we have the Supernova Tarot, which is very bold and bright and energetic. So I'd use this one for like in the morning, or maybe when I'm doing readings around week ahead and things like that. Very like action forward if I'm doing readings around creativity or even my content, for example. But this is more so, I think, an introspective deck. Temperance, if I had to give this a major arcana to represent the energy of it, it would be between Temperance and Hermit. From me reading with it. It's very clear reader, very intuitive, but it is very soft spoken. And you know what? I like this. I like this because sometimes I need decks that are bright and bold. Sometimes I need decks that are gentle and soft. Sometimes I need decks that are comforting, like this one. And sometimes I need decks that are gonna be mind-blowing, like the Shuffled Tarot. I have a different need depending on what I'm reading for, my mood, who I'm reading for as well, what the types of readings I'm doing, the mood of the day, all of that. And this is why I love decks so much, because they can really suit to my inner landscape so well. And this has been, again, a very soothing, gentle voice in the midst of a very chaotic energies. Let's be real, I haven't talked about it, but we can all agree November and October were heavy with everything going on, especially for you guys in America, but the rest of the world as well. It's been a lot. Collectively, we've all gone through a lot of grief, anger, and this deck is the perfect medicine, I think, for those kind of emotions, because it feels like it says, come as you are. You don't have to hide, you don't have to pretend. You can come angry, you can come sad, you can come numb. I'll meet you where you are, I'll greet you as you are, and yeah, I'll make space for your emotions, and I really need that sometimes. Yeah, this is really beautiful. It's one I've also used in a couple of my year ahead readings. Love that. It read beautifully for that, and it was a joy for me to read for you guys with that. I have one more tarot deck to share with you guys, and then one oracle deck, because like I said earlier, I'm gonna be making a specific videos for my oracle decks, otherwise we're gonna be here all day. So I'll make a different videos for my oracle decks, but I did want to mention one at the end of the video because it's really new and it's bringing me joy. So we'll leave that for the end because it literally just arrived in my mailbox. But first, to wrap it up on the tarot front, I want to talk about the Silhouette Tarot, another one I mentioned in my recent haul. Again, if you've not seen it, it's going to be in the description box. You can check it out. And I wanted to come back and just again share my thoughts, as this is one I've been using for quite a while now. This is a deck by Wow Studio. They are usually sold on Etsy under the shop Vermillon Collection, and they're the same people who did the Exile Tarot, the Monsoon Tarot, the Broken Mirror Tarot. I love their stuff. I say this all the time. I've just ordered a new one of theirs actually, which hasn't arrived yet. It's gonna be a surprise. I think they're Chinese creators and I enjoy their decks, and they offer free shipping on Etsy, so we love that. Here is what the box looks like. It's quite cool, as you can see. It goes like this, so different to our stereotypical boxes there. And as the name suggests, the Silhouette Tarot, this is very much inspired by shadow puppets, and you can see from the artwork why it is called a Silhouette Tarot, because the main characters are this black kind of outline against a colorful background. I got this version. I forgot to say in my haul that there's two versions, a black version and a white version. I mean, I don't know what they call it, but on one the figures are black and on one the figures are white. I got the ones where the figures are black because I thought the white one, I was afraid it wouldn't be as clear. That white against some colors, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to see really what's going on, and I must say I'm super happy with this version. I think the black on colors really striking. I love it. It's really clear. I was afraid that this was going to be a bit too busy trying to read with this, because you can see there's lots of details, lots of layers, and the suits are color coded, so some of the colors, especially for the sword, we are in a purple realm. So I was a bit worried at first that it was going to be hard to see, really, to kind of like look at what's going on. However, I can confirm I have no problem at all reading with this. Even as you can see, the dark purple, you can still really clearly see the figures in the front, the animals, if there are animals, the plants, you can see everything. It's really clear, so my concerns didn't need to be there. This is very easy to read with. It's super intuitive. It's set in this magical, whimsical world. It feels very fairy tale storybook vibe. Even though it doesn't refer specific fairy tales, the vibe of it feels very childlike, whimsical energy. I mean, you do have a little bit of a Pinocchio vibe here, and this is just a joy. Again, another one I've read in a pick a card reading for you guys. What did I use this for? Oh, this was messages from your future self, I think. Was it you guys, I don't know. I've been reading tarot so much lately because I've been doing readings on the channel. I've been doing readings for myself, obviously. I've been doing year ahead readings for those of you guys who've been booking readings with me. I have been reading the cards so much in the last few weeks that I don't even know what deck I used for which anymore. I know when I use a deck a lot, I know what I think of it, but I can't remember which pick a card it was in. So have a look. My last like 2 or 3 pick a card, it was in one of those. I really enjoyed this one anyway. And it's another one I could see using for others a lot because it's super clear and it gives that really whimsical, joyful, childlike energy that I know a lot of you enjoy. I mean, I had a lot of comments on my haul from you guys saying you love this one, you hadn't seen it, and you really enjoyed it. And honestly, I really like it as well. I think it's beautiful, it's very whimsical, it's very joyful again. Whilst it could feel overwhelming, the details, it's actually not. It goes to the essence of the card, I think, because you can focus on the outline and that gives you what you need to know. And I really like the color coding. Zero regret in taking a chance, slowly adding to my collection of WoW Studio decks. Maybe I should do a video actually when I get my latest one. Do you guys want that? Do you want a video of all my decks from these creators? Because they are super underrated in my opinion, those creators, and yet they have some really cool decks. So let me know if you would be interested in a video sharing with you the decks from these creators, because there are indie decks, but their prices are really affordable compared to other indie decks prices. Like I said, they offer free shipping. They've got some really unique decks that I feel like are super underrated, so I'd be happy to do a video like mini collection. If you guys are into that, let me know. Let's wrap it up with an oracle. Like I said, I'm gonna make a separate video about the oracle decks I've been loving lately because there's way too many to include here and we would be here for ages, but I do want to shout out this one because it literally arrived 2 days ago and it's bringing me joy right now. So this is a sneak peek, I guess, at my future haul. Those of you who watch my videos regularly, you're gonna laugh and judge me because this is a deck I had previously said I did not want, and guess what? I changed my mind. You feel free to mock me, it's okay, I don't mind. But let's talk about the Little Ghost Oracle. Yeah, I know, in my Spooky Decks video, when I shared with you the tarot deck that is related to this, which is called the Boo Tarot by Celia Melville, who's the creator of both. I remember I said in that spooky video, I was sharing with you the Boo Tarot and I was like, yeah, I know there's an oracle deck, I don't need it, so I'm not gonna get it. And then guess what? I changed my mind and I got it. Yeah, I know, you can judge me, it's okay, I judge myself. So this is a deck by Celia Melville, who is a indie French creator. She has lots of cool decks and she's a wonderful illustrator, so definitely check her out if you're not familiar. All of her decks come with bilingual booklets, always in English and in French, so we love that. And this is a deck that goes with the Boo Tarot, which is also full of these little ghosties. One of my favorite decks for Halloween, one that I still really enjoy, even though I said like my favorite deck for Halloween is the Halloween Wait Now. The Boo Tarot, whilst this ghost is still a deck I use all year long, so this has not replaced my love for it at all. So here are the backs. They have this beautiful purple holo effect. I don't know if you can see that, but it's really beautiful. In October, everyone was doing spooky decks video, right? It was that time of the year, and obviously I watch them because I love to see what people want to use. And in some of them I saw people sharing this deck, which I had previously anti-hauled. At the time I was like, no, I don't need the oracle deck, I love the tarot, I don't need the oracle. Needless to say, as you can see I'm holding it in my hands, that I changed my mind and decided to order the Little Ghost Oracle, because from watching people's videos I realized that at the time when this deck came out, I thought it was going to be a very Halloween specific deck, if I can say that. Turns out this is a very not only versatile in the keywords, but also versatile in the artwork deck that I could see myself using actually, not just for October or Halloween season, but for October all the way to Christmas, because for me this is actually more so, I'm realizing, a Christmassy December deck than it is a Halloween deck. And as soon as that clicked for me, I was like, oh wait a minute, this could be fun for like end of the year, cute cozy vibes, you know, Christmassy vibes. And even then, it's not just autumn or Christmas. You can use this all year long, because the artwork, whilst there are definitely some images that are very cozy and Christmassy, there's also some that are summery and springtime. And what really surprised me, that I guess I hadn't realized when I originally had watched walkthroughs, was how expensive the keywords are, how varied they were. And so I decided to give this a chance. And of course it's adorable, so that helped. I've only had this for like 2-3 days, like I said, but I'm realizing from doing like daily card pull with this for myself, and I even pulled a couple of cards for friends and stuff, that this is a very cute self-care deck for me. It feels like a little sweet message of self-care, about day-to-day things that you can relate to. Like we have nature, we had nourish, we had get dressed, we had comfort. It's a very practical day-to-day deck. It's a deck I could see for monthly readings for you guys. I'm probably going to use this for my December months ahead, because this could look at the energies really well. Day-to-day practical things. Yes, it's ghosties, but actually it's ghosties very much brought into our practical day-to-day life. And I'm realizing that this is actually a great deck for, yeah, looking at the energies of the week, looking at the energies of the months. You know, we have some Christmassy cards, but not all of them. And I do love the wintry Christmassy cards. I mean, this is making me want to use this deck for your December months ahead so bad, because I love this so much. It's adorable, and it's a lot more, I will say, versatile than I thought it was. Because when I first saw this, I was like, yeah, it's cute, but I don't need it. But actually, yes, it's cute, but it's also useful and versatile and fun. So I changed my mind and I got it. And you know what? I have zero regrets. This is adorable. I'm gonna use this for myself at least until the end of December. I might again use it in readings for you guys. Definitely for December, you'll be able to see that in action, because it's just one that feels like a little bit of a cozy comfort blanket. It's giving like A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, the book I told you about by T Kingfisher. It's those kind of cozy fantasy book vibe. That's what this is giving me in deck form, and sometimes I really need that. And look, speaking about cozy, here I am. I want to be there right now because I'm boiling hot. I would love nothing more than being in the stove right now. That sounds heavenly. That's just a little treat, latest addition to my collection. I hadn't shared it with you guys yet, and I wanted to because it's bringing me joy. So there you go, my friends. This is it. These are all of my favorites for October and November. So many books, so many decks. If you're still here, first of all, thank you so much for sticking around, for watching the video. I appreciate it so much. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, put the bell on, comment. Please feel free to share below any book recommendations or any decks you've been enjoying lately. If you want to share the decks you've been enjoying in the last couple of months or the books you've enjoyed, we can have a chat in the comments. I love to read you guys and I try to respond to all of my comments. I want to thank you so much again for you being here, for your support, for your likes, for your time, just spending this time together. It really means a lot. Until my next video, I just want to wish you a beautiful rest of the month. I'm sending you so much good vibes. We can get through this year. I have faith. We only have 1 month and a half left. We can do this. I'm sending you so many hugs and so much good vibes, and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!